Okay, I had some people requesting information on these Litterbuggie rigs and a little more detail on them. So I'm going to do the version 5 first, which is this white one here. And if this goes over well, then I may do the version 6 and the version 7. I'm going to do this in one shot. I don't know proper names for some of this stuff. And it's probably going to be positive or not, but it is what it is. I don't want to do a bunch of editing for this. So, this is the version 5. It was originally built on a axle race body or chassis, but it had to make some changes to it. So now it's more custom than anything else, and we'll kind of go through that. The general dimensions of it are, let's see here, 400 millimeters wide by 600 millimeters long. It is 455 to the top of the bucket. And on this particular one that has my camera set up on it, it's probably at about 800, well, probably closer to 750 with the camera on it going. The rig is symmetrical, both front to back and left to right. The bucket on the top, 5 gallons. It was bought from, what the hell, Container Store. It's just a Container Store bucket. We use that because I could easily make these little plastic pieces right here to hold it in place. You take the bucket off and see where those slide right on there. So here's the inside. This rig runs off of 2 Milwaukee N12 batteries. These little covers are just to keep water and stuff from getting on there and going down into the terminals and corroding them. But being the fact that this is used in saltwater conditions all the time anyway, they still get some corrosion. The terminals are covered with a dielectric silicone to kind of help prevent that, and it has, but there's at least one of these batteries that has corrosion on that center terminal. Oh, some of those are easier to get out than others. There you go. See if you can see down. Yeah, flashlight. You can kind of see the terminals down inside there. But the main chassis, or the main, I guess you call it the frame on this, is aluminum, 6061. And it was laser cut for me. If you see, let me get on the other side here. It's got all these extra holes in it because this was made before the actual designs were finished. And I wanted to be able to modify it any which way, you know, move these shocks back and forth, different tie down components, all that stuff. So over time that's really come in handy. And if I ever get around to making more of these, then I'll pull out all the excess holes I don't need. And you can even see right here, there was a flaw in the design for these little, oh, what the heck are those called? I guess you call them suspension arms. But the alignment wasn't quite right, so I had to print a plastic part inside here to make the axle angle down just a little bit because I was putting in a bit of a bind. It carries this magnetic knife on the front for digging up bags and whatnot. The axles are AR60s. They're the ones that originally they were plastic and they came off of that Wraith, which is the reason I bought it, because those are the widest axles I get. They've since been updated. These are steel, and this piece here is aluminum. The differential in there is as slow as I can possibly get it on this. I forget the ratio. The vehicle does, you know, 4-wheel steering, front and rear, and then it uses Traxxas big bore shocks for the front and rear suspension. And then you have this little little torsion arms. You got to have that. You put a bunch of weight on this thing, and you go to turn. If you don't have that, it will go all the way to the left or the right, I forget. But yeah, it doesn't work very well without it. So on the top here, we have our primary power switch. This switches your batteries from your left battery or your right battery. So if you're going down the beach 3 miles and you need to get back, then you get and switch the battery. I normally go down as far as it'll go. I think this one is about 3 miles. When it dies, flip it over to battery B and start heading back. This one here is for the lights. And the actual light power system is underneath here. There's a voltage regulator. I think that one's for the rear. There's another one up here underneath for the front. And then the ESC, which is on the back side. Let's see if I can get a view of it for you. The ESC is a Mamba X. Let's see here. Right here. There you go. And you can kind of see it right there. It is a Mamba X, and it is actually secured to this little holder piece in the middle here. The motor is a Holmes Hobby Pro Puller 2200 kV. Brushless. I use those Holmes brushless because they're sealed. And then I have plastic dip around it to keep any sand and whatnot from getting in there. And the actual transmission on this is the original transmission that came off of the Axle Wraith. These little suspension arms, those are from a Yeti, I believe. Yeah, an Axle Yeti. The lights are LED pebbles. The front ones are white. The rear ones, which you see over there, are red. And I actually have some green front ones that I was going to try and see how well they worked for me. It also has a standard LED headlight right here, and it has a tail light, the same thing. That was the original one that you can see on my wife's, because I haven't done any updating to hers. Hers has the original 12 volt LED surround lighting, and they're all white, and they just light up around the whole vehicle. Whereas on this one here, the front 2 lights, white, are directional out in front of it to about, I think, 9 degrees. And the rear lights light up high enough that I can see inside the bucket with my camera and light up around the back where you're walking. For controls, this one we use these DX5 ruggeds just because they need to survive in all kinds of conditions. And it uses the original Axle Wraith box housing right here with a DX5 receiver. I think it's a 315 or something like that. Let me pull the bags out. This piece is just flat in there to hold trash bags, especially in the summer when you have a lot of trash and all the bins are full. On the backpack here, we got custom shoe holders. So again, in the summer when you're out there and you're walking barefoot, you can take your Crocs and hang on this, and you don't have to worry about carrying things anywhere. I think that's a pretty good overview on that. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. So the tires are X-Max tires. And they have got a special piece printed in here, a little 30mm spacer that makes them adapt to the standard 12mm hex hub that's on these AR60s. And then the tires themselves, the little vents in there are sealed with hot glue so that I can run this thing without any trouble through at least 50mm of water. No issues at all. Importantly, I say importantly, these AR60s have a stainless steel and ceramic bearings in them, which I finally found from a guy, Jim's Bearings. Only place I've ever seen ceramic and stainless steel bearings. And for what I'm doing, that's going to be a big help. I'm going to have to make the mod of my wife's to convert hers over to the same ceramic and stainless steel bearings before too long. I imagine hers are going to start seizing up. Well, that's your general overview. If you have any more questions about it, put them in the comments. I'll try to make more videos or answer any questions you have. And if you want to see the other ones, same thing. Put it in the comments and try to make an overview on the other ones.